Buster. Thanks, Buster. Simon and the Juggernauts of Justice. I would just say before I start this one that my guess is, even if you're a seasoned Confessions listener, you might not guess what happens at the end.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's really, yes. My confession relates, and it's appropriate, right? It's a very, very appropriate tale. My confession relates to a Portuguese airport on my return journey to the UK. End of holidays, you know. It'd been a particularly relaxed holiday with glorious sunshine and great company. Now I was to return to the dreary weathered UK. And to top it off, I had the grim prospects of finding a job post-university during a recession. Now, to put everything into context, my friends consider me a careful Eddie. I am paranoid about misplacing or leaving items of belongings out. If I leave a restaurant with my friends, I will feign an excuse to go back to the table to check the footwells in case I dropped anything. My friends first thought this was funny, but now almost all of them were annoyed by having me wait for all the incessant checks. Yeah. At the airport security, which is usually a place of irrational anxiety for me normally, we were met with a long, winding queue to get through. Mid-queuing in security, my friends began to remove the contents of their pockets, their belts and shoes, to make the whole process quicker. One of them, Jason, points at my belt and says, "Don't you think you should remove that?" I replied daringly, "If they want me to take it off, I'll let them do it."
Oh, right. Okay.
It doesn't sound like a careful Eddie thing to say to me. It sounds like an idiot thing to say. But anyway, Father Simon, I'm not really sure why I said this. No, Buster, neither are we, and can only assume that I was putting on a brave show in front of my mates. Surely my belt had minimal metal traces, and I'm a very careful person, as you remember. And, you know, it shouldn't set off the sensors, should it? Anyway, what's the worst that can happen? Sure enough, anyway, the meandering line came to its end and I was met with a security operative. This lady meant business, I could tell. She wore a stern expression and my confidence dwindled in her presence. Began to regret not taking off the belt. Her suspicious gaze tore through my soul and I was frozen. She just gesticulated for me to go through the sensor. Holding my breath, which of course makes all the difference.
Yes.
It blocks off all rays.
Yeah.
I walk through. Red light and a loud beep, and I'm brought right in front of the lady and she begins to frisk me. Now I'm trying my hardest to avoid eye contact with my friend Jason for fear of judgment and his "I told you so" eyes, which I think is entirely appropriate. What do they look like anyway? As I'm sure you've already guessed, it is the belt, and she asked me to remove it and go through the sensor again. To remove myself from the situation, I ran through, which of course again makes...
That's not allowed.
all the difference. Anyway, I came through unscathed. Success, I thought, and proceeded to join the others on the other side. But where was my handbag, the carry-on bag, I should say? In the midst of being frisked, I had not realised that my bag had also been placed on the inspection line. Why was it there? This couldn't be right. I was so sure that I hadn't packed anything that would raise eyebrows. The bag was being accompanied by the same security operative. She goes over the spiel about had I packed my own luggage? Did I have any prohibited items? She proceeded to check my bag. She pulls out a litre bottle of water and a disapproving frown. She tells me she must dispose of it, but since my parents, Father Simon, had always raised me to waste nothing, I asked her if I could drink it first. Probably hearing this 100 times a day from other passengers, she begrudgingly said yes, but you must go through the sensor again and drink it from the other side. Again, I have no idea what the logic is there. Anyway, I said thank you, and I downed the bottle. I was nearly through this whole palaver, but then this same security personnel was at my bag and found something else. What was it this time? Well, she pulls out a large bottle of barely used sunscreen lotion. You hadn't really thought about this, Buster, had you really? My heart sunk. What was going to happen to me next? My imagination jumped to a scene from a thriller where security takes me to a secret and dark room in the basement and flicks on a pair of latex... Oh, I wasn't going to read this bit. Anyway, this security lady has a face that says, "You absolute idiot." Thankfully, the scene I had imagined did not materialise, and she simply, tiredly begins explaining to me again that it will have to be discarded. But I interrupt. This is where it goes really weird.
Okay.
I say, "Can I use the rest of it?"
What?
So for the next 10 minutes, I set the sensor off a couple of times by lathering up on the other side, keeping going because I need to use it all up. And I keep on rubbing it in and rubbing it in and rubbing it in until I've used up all of the suntan cream.
What?
My friends and all the staff shook their heads, but surely being kind to my skin isn't a sin. I mean...
You don't need it.
So... I told you it was weird. Pastor says, I don't ask forgiveness from my friends who made fun of me on the whole flight back because of my now ghost light factor 50 complexion on a flight to the UK. Also not at the security officer. She should expect the mistakes happen, especially from relaxed holiday makers who may not be in the most mentally active state. Plus, she gave me enough punishment anyway. But my request of forgiveness extends to all those holiday makers made to wait for this well-meaning but underprepared fellow traveller, holding them up in the line at the security gate. They must have heard the alert sounding 5 times or more. I was only trying to be a good son, not waste any water, and not waste the Earth's resources, and to look...
That's a stretch.
and to look after my skin. I was looking after my skin, says Buster from the Wirral. I think you're on a very sticky wicket here, Buster. Sister Susie from the pub.
Buster, yes. Yeah, I see where you're going with this. You know, you should put sun cream on. You don't need to use a whole bottle. That's
Not
just
indoors.
very silly. But also, no one likes being at the airport when they're coming home from holiday. You feel rubbish that you finished your holiday. You feel rubbish that you're in a queue. I can't forgive you, because if I was one of those people behind you, I would be very cross.
Yeah.
So not forgiven for me.
Use a little bit up, but keep going. Brother Matthew.
Imagine being in the queue behind this bloke going, right, he's downing the water now, is he? What is he doing now? He's pouring all of the sun cream over him again and again and again. And he's going to use... that stuff really takes a while to rub in. Also, you're indoors the whole time. It doesn't make any sense. However, it's first day back, isn't it? So let's just forgive.